All right, let's talk about that feeling. You know the one. You leave the doctor's office and it feels like you need a secret decoder ring just to figure out what was said. Well, today we're going to demystify all of it. We are going to give you the tools to understand the language of your own health. I mean, you're sitting there, you're trying your best to listen, and then bam, a word comes out that sounds completely alien. We've all been there, right? It's confusing, it can be a little intimidating, and honestly, it kind of leaves you feeling like a bystander in your own life. But here's the thing. What if I told you it's not some impossible foreign language? It's actually more like a code, a surprisingly logical one, built from just a few simple pieces. And you know what? In the next few minutes, we're not just going to show you the code, we're going to crack it together. Okay, so with any code, you have to start with the foundation, the most basic building block. In the world of medical terms, that foundation is called the word root. So what is a word root? Well, think of it like the main character in a story, or the subject of a sentence. It's the core of the whole term, and it almost always tells you which body part or system we're even talking about. It's the anchor for everything else. Let's look at a few super common ones. It's amazing how simple this is. You see cardio, you know we're talking about the heart. Gastro, that's the stomach. Hepato, the liver. And that little O on the end, that's just there to help the words connect smoothly. It's a little linguistic glue. And here's a perfect example. The second you hear a word with gastro/O in it, your brain can just immediately lock onto this image, the stomach. Just like that, you know the main character of our medical story. You've already got a huge piece of the puzzle. Okay, so if the root is our main character, then prefixes and suffixes, well, they're the plot. They're what give the story all the interesting details, what's actually going on, where it's happening, and maybe even how. So let's start at the very beginning of the word, with the prefix. A prefix is like a little descriptor that gets tacked onto the front. It gives us clues about things like speed, size, or status. And here's a fantastic example of how they often work in pairs. You've got Brady, which means slow, and then you have its opposite, tacky, which means fast. Two tiny prefixes that completely flip the meaning of whatever root they get attached to. Here's another classic pair I bet you've heard before. Hyper means high or too much. Think hypertension, right? High blood pressure. And its opposite, hypo, means low or not enough, like in hypoglycemia for low blood sugar. See how the prefix just sets the whole scene? All right, now let's jump to the very end of the word, the suffix. This little piece tells you what's happening to our word root. Is it a condition, a surgery, a feeling? The suffix is kind of like the verb of our story. It's the action. And here are a few you will see absolutely everywhere. Itis just means inflammation. Simple. You see it on the end of a word, you know something is inflamed. Algia means pain. And scopy is about looking at something, usually with a camera. Each one tells a totally different story. So we have our building blocks now, right? The prefix, the root, and the suffix. So now for the really fun part. Let's actually build a medical term from scratch and watch this code come to life. Okay, let's start with a prefix. We'll grab Brady. And if you remember from just a second ago, we know that means slow. Next up, let's add our main character, the root, Cardi/O, which of course means heart. So right there, just putting those two together, we've got slow heart. We're already halfway there. And then we just tack on a simple suffix like Asia at the end, which just turns it into a condition. And we get our final word, bradycardia. And there it is. Bradycardia, an abnormally slow heart rate. See, it's not some scary, random jumble of letters anymore. It's just a description, a logical one, built from three simple pieces that you now understand. You literally just decoded it. Okay, your turn. Let's do a quick one. Based on the parts we've already covered, what do you think gastritis means? Take a second, think about that root and that suffix we just talked about. Let's check our work. The root, Gastr/O, we know is stomach. The suffix, itis, we know means inflammation. Put them together and gastritis is, exactly, inflammation of the stomach. See, you totally got this. So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's this simple four-step process. It's your own personal medical decoder ring. First, look for a prefix at the start. Second, find the root in the middle. Third, check out the suffix at the end. And fourth, put them all together for the full picture. It's a system you can use over and over and over again. Look, This isn't just about playing a fun word game. Being able to do this, to break down these terms, it's a genuine superpower. It completely changes your role from someone who just sits and listens to someone who is an active, engaged part of the conversation about your own health. And that's really what it's all about, isn't it? When you understand the language, you can ask smarter questions. You can weigh your options with real understanding. You can feel confident in the choices you make. It's all about empowerment. So what we've learned here today isn't about memorizing a handful of words. It's about learning a system. The key we've put together, prefix, root, suffix, it doesn't just unlock one door. It unlocks the whole building. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. The next time you hear one of those big, complicated medical terms, how are you going to hear it differently? What will you understand now that you know how to crack the code?